Hey all, I've got a pretty short one for you today because out of the 3 videos I took this war, I only have like the last 25% of 2 of them. I have no idea why. They recorded as one whole thing and then only saved the end. This one right here, you're actually seeing me coming back from my dueling because I'm now in the habit of leaving the video on while I'm dueling because I have a habit of forgetting to turn it back on. I clearly left it on because the video starts in the middle of it. So I trimmed it to here, but the first 2 fights luckily were not that important. They were both on path 6 in tier 1. One was a long shot, I took it with Reed. Very simple fight. I was basically alternating parry heavy and parry medium light to work around the node. And then the second one was iHulk on aggression prowess and power focus 2, which was a parry heavy with Warlock. Just lots of bleed damage, power drain because the infection's absurdly easy. So then we have Tigra here. I don't think I've ever actually taken her before with Reed. I've taken a bunch of other opponents on Power Snack, including several that I think are more dangerous, but she's kind of interesting because when I fight Doom or a few others, I will often block the special one and just hope that I evade it until I get fully set up to try and avoid the Power Snack triggers. Tigra being unblockable if you are not perfectly managing the distance does obviously make that tricky. However, as you can see, we are only halfway set up. We've gained 2 bars of power out of the 3 we need to get there, and she's almost half down. This special 2 right here that we throw to get fully ramped is actually going to push her over the backup recovery, which you can see we slightly reverse. And she's only thrown a single special. She's only gained 1 bar of power. So while she is somewhat tricky here, Tigra has no crit resistance, has no real armor to speak of, and has a small hit pool. She can't really benefit from the outlast or even that much from the backup recovery. And so I don't think she's a great placement here unless you're, I don't know, trying to catch clearly a different attacker than Reed, because that was one of the easier fights, especially contrasted with the rank 4 Doom without willpower that I took in War 3. So that one was kind of fun. So then we have Invisible Woman here on Vigor. She's not a terribly difficult defender in general, especially if you know how to sidestep her, which I don't think I bother doing here because it's so easy to stun her. But then on Vigor, basically anyone who's not immune to Petrify and can be parried is easy food for Reed because he's just going to reduce it and then reverse it. Yeah, you'll see what I mean here. I think one of the Vigor triggers, when you factor in Despair, takes her from like, I don't know, 60% to 30 or something. It's very funny. You do have to watch when her invisibility is on cooldown, that when you take her out of her force field, she will go invisible, and so you then have to safely trigger that, whether it's by parrying her and hitting into it once, or by carefully punishing her special one and then very quickly backing off. You will see me do that once in here, but it is extremely safe. I've tested it many times in less important situations than war, so I feel pretty good about it here. But notice this upcoming Vigor trigger here. I should say this upcoming Vigor healing. So yeah, it starts at 55%. We're able to make some of it even worse by stunning her, which is an extra minus 30%, and when it expires, like I said, she's down to about 30. See there, we trigger the invisibility and unpause it without giving her an opportunity to punish us. It's very important to know where those are in case you run into her somewhere that you can't stun her, which is a fairly popular placement. Here we knock her down, just parry, hit in once to unpause it. No problems there. And yeah, nice quick fight. I could have done that with Warlock, and it might have been even easier because her invisibility is never paused if she's bleeding. And so parry heavies from Warlock are quite good, but I wanted to have the extra pre-fights from ramping Reed an additional time, and I do end up using almost all of them to make boss fights easier later for other members of the battle group, so very much worth it. Now, somewhere in here, I was very proud of this combo, that last one, because I managed to get 3 parries in there while she was stun immune and very quickly build infection. But then that parry just, yeah, I was clearly late by some definition or another. I think that one probably was on me. So thankfully, Warlock has some decent health, and thankfully that was a combo and not like a big special 2 or something. So I'm going to be a little more careful from here on out. We're armor breaking her, of course, because it means that she's going to die faster. It also means that we can actually stun her, land these heavies, get some bleeds in before she goes back to diamond form and purifies them. Nice and easy. Bait that out. I do tend to go for the full evade, but it doesn't really matter because she's not unblockable here, so block it. This is it's not my only Warlock fight. Like I said, there was one against iHulk, but it is my last Warlock fight, so it really does not matter if he takes some damage. So here we have all that recorded of my Apocalypse mini-boss kill on the Conflictor mini, node 51. It's about the last 10 seconds of it. As you can see, I am pretty much fully ramped. I have 11 force field charges. That's from throwing a single special one. I parry him to put Conflictor into cooldown, I wait for the 11th force field charge to come back, and I step back into the special 2, and it deletes him. This was an incredibly easy fight, as you can tell by how much health I have left, but it does bear some explanation, so I also recorded a duel here to show basically what I was doing. First off, you want to back him up, because the strategy I use for the special 1 is not very effective at the wall. It requires having some space. So notice we're just hitting in with medium lights, and we're comfortable baiting out heavies. Because Apocalypse can hit fairly hard, and this node does give him block penetration when he gains a prowess, but it's only for 6 seconds. So as long as we're sticking to those medium lights, it's only the first 6 seconds of the fight where he has that block penetration. And outside of that, my Sig 200 Guardian can block for days. There is no risk of dying to that part of the fight. So medium light, always. And we bait out these special ones, we wait for the cannon to stabilize, and boom, that's when you block. For me, it's like the cannon comes down, then comes back up, stabilizes at horizontal, and that's when I block. And as long as you do that, you'll get a perfect block on the first 2 hits of the special 1, and then you can dex out of the last one and safely punish it. So this method of handling one of the most dangerous special attacks in the entire game is why I assigned Guardian here, and why I like to assign Guardian for Apocalypse basically any place that he makes sense. Now, I could have gotten even fancier with this particular fight, and instead of just baiting heavies and doing medium light all the time, I could have intentionally parried and triggered Conflictor multiple times, which would have led to Apocalypse throwing more special ones, which would have meant more perfect blocks for me, hopefully, and therefore more power gain for me, allowing me to ramp more quickly and get through the fight faster. However, if you do that, you do run the slight risk of getting backed up, because like I said, this does not work super well in the corner, and so I elected not to do that. As it was in the fight, when I threw my special 3, because that applies a shock, that triggered Conflictor, that plus the power that he got from eating the special 3 in the first place, did put him at a special 2. I'm extremely confident in the special 2 evade, but not confident enough to risk blowing a war over it, and so I just blocked the whole thing. Like I said, if you haven't triggered the Prowess Puncture node, there's no risk from blocking the whole thing on this particular node with this particular champion. So yeah, that was an extremely safe fight. There are other counters, of course, but because I could fit Guardian on the team, this just seemed the simplest one for us, and I was already on this side of the mini-boss island to place pre-fights on both the fight before this and the fight after this, so it made perfect sense. So I'm sorry my iPad was acting up, and that I am missing 2.5 other fights for you, but hopefully you found these ones interesting. We unfortunately did lose this war. BG3 ended up dying twice. One of them was just an uncharacteristic fluke, I'm convinced, and the other one was to a Weapon X. And if you've ever fought Weapon X, you know that that fight can go south pretty quickly. So we're not too beat up over that. 2 deaths is not the end of the world. Unfortunately, as an alliance, we were a little rusty on this one. Hopefully it wasn't the one war break, but I don't know. We're working on fixing that for the next one. So let's see. This season we are now 2-2. So hopefully we can try and build some more momentum going into the back half of it. I will catch y'all next time, and until then, thanks for watching, and take care.